I always wanted to give this game a go. Is it still active? Yeah, look, it is. It's definitely like, and it's an older game, and you know it doesn't have like a huge population, but it's definitely got quite a lot of people playing it. That's for sure. There's definitely enough people to engage with the content in the game and all those multiplayer parts of it. It's got a very strong core community, so there's a lot of people, a lot of really welcoming people, and people that just keep playing it and keep creating new characters and going through content. And yeah, if you're a fan of like Lord of the Rings, especially like the books in particular, but also like the movies and anything else, you will definitely enjoy it. Still enough people to enjoy the game. Yeah, I guess not enjoy, but like play all the multiplayer elements of it in that way, if that makes sense. You could honestly still enjoy the game without any players, I find. I don't really engage too much with players in the past. The game is just fun on its own, personally, but yeah, it's like there's enough people to do. If you're someone that wants to get into like dungeons and raiding content and that sort of thing, there is enough of a population to do that, which is great. So it's still very alive in that way, you know. Azrathor over in Twitch chat saying that there is 470 non-anonymous players on the Glamjing server at this time. So that's like US times, which is because it's off-peak at the moment, and it gets to about 1,500 to 2,000 during peak hours. So yeah, lots of people, that's for sure. Wow, that's still heaps of people for an old game. Yeah, exactly. It's a really strong core community, like, of people, and a lot of new players as well. It's gone through lots of sort of revivals in a way. People that have come back and realized, oh, this game looks actually cool, and you know. And one thing I will say as well is, you never feel rushed in LOTRO. You can really take your time. It kind of reminds me like of old school RuneScape as well, and other MMOs like that, where like there's not as much FOMO at all. Unlike World of Warcraft and some other MMOs, where as expansions have come out, they've essentially removed the previous content from the leveling, and the new content is where you level in. Lord of the Rings Online, you level the same way through you did from the day one it came out, essentially, you know. The old areas are still the areas you go through from the early levels. It's just that they've kept adding and adding to the content at the end of the game, and also in the game as well. They've created more content, sort of early game and mid game, similar to old school RuneScape in that way, you know. But I just find that means that you can really be patient and pace yourself with the journey. You can just enjoy it how you want. For me personally, like, it took me many years before I ever got a character to max level, because I just enjoyed playing the game, you know, from level 1. So yeah. But LOTRO is by far my favorite MMORPG of all time. No game will ever come close to this. Oh yeah, man, it's so good, isn't it? I feel like it has a lot, like, a special place in a lot of people's hearts. LOTRO, it's one of those games. And how great is it that it's still the same as it always was, right? No wonder people have such a love for it, because they've proved that they're not going to... Well, who knows? Who knows what could happen, but Standing Stone Games and Turbine before them have proven that they're not going to go in and just delete the whole leveling experience and then be like, now you level from 1 to 50 in Mordor, and it takes you 10 minutes, you know? Like, which is essentially what WoW did, right? I think that's why it's got such a special place for a lot of people, because I feel like we can, like, trust that it's not just going to be, like, it's not going to suddenly become, like, the opposite of why we all played it. Sometimes I can't put it into words. This game and the community is just special. Yeah. Yeah. And that really does sum it up. It is hard to put it into words. But I think it's just that safe place. You know, it's like a friend that you just never feel like you can mess anything up. You know, you never feel like they're going to take anything the wrong way. They're never going to, like, suddenly flip on you and think that, like,
you know, what you said was hating on them or something like that, you know. There's just that, like, understanding, that peace. And it's a weird metaphor. But I don't know, I feel that with LOTRO somehow. I feel like there's a piece of knowing your game is well taken care of, and it's just been well taken care of forever. And I don't know, they make enough money out of what they need. It's why I love the LOTRO store. I think the LOTRO store is great. Push cosmetics, push this, push that, hell yeah. If it means that you can keep developing the game as you are currently developing it, and keeping everything as it is, not changing the game to bring new audiences in, love it.
JD, what kind of character are you playing, or characters that are available? So, there is a whole lot of different characters. Lord of the Rings Online has a pretty unique class system, and let's just make sure I'm actually killing the right dudes while I'm talking. I'm currently playing a Bjorning, who are skin changers. In the lore of Lord of the Rings, there is one Bjorning left, Bjorn, who he's in The Hobbit, if you've ever seen the Hobbit movies, or read the books. He's mentioned in the books as well, Lord of the Rings, but he's essentially like a man that can turn into a massive bear. And the Bjornings are both a class and a race in LOTRO. So there's multiple different races. There's like elves, dwarves, humans, hobbits, that sort of thing. Then there's also Bjornings, and Bjornings, the race, have a class called Bjorning as well. So it's like a race and a class. You're like a skin changer, you have like heals and other sort of abilities. You're like a mix between like a lot of different things. You have a lot of different classes in Lord of the Rings Online. You have like classic sort of warrior classes, the champion. You have tanky class like the guardian, which is like your sword and board. You have sort of magical classes like the rune keeper and the lawmaster. The Lawmaster is like the pet class of the game, casting very Gandalf orientated, you know, sword and staff with a pet. Rune keepers use runes and cast sort of totems. They're similar to shamans in some way. Then you have burglars, which are like kind of the rogue class of Lord of the Rings Online. You have wardens, which is a super unique class. The warden uses a spear and a shield as well as javelins, and you use a gambit system, which is essentially comboing together abilities to cast other abilities. It's quite complicated. So there's a whole lot of different classes that range from like sort of simple to really complicated, which is really nice. You can like there's a lot of possibility there. Another example is like the captain class, which is essentially a warrior class, but you have a herald that follows you around, a guy that carries a banner, and he buffs everyone. And you also do attacks, and you shouts, and you buff your allies as well. So it's like a sort of group-based more class that's still viable playing solo. The great thing is all the classes are viable to play solo. There's been many updates in the last couple of years that have brought and balanced all the classes to a great place, so they're all playable as solo classes. Back in the day, in the original LOTRO days, it was hard to be, say, a minstrel and deal damage. You know, you kind of had to be a healer. It's not anymore. They're all viable, all those things. So it's great because you can just kind of pick a class that feels like, you know, is immersive for you, you know, makes you immersed in the game. And not worry as much about like, oh, am I going to be able to even play the game with this, you know? But yeah. It's always nice to talk about to new people. It was the one thing I really was not expecting streaming LOTRO is the amount of people coming in and that have never played it and are curious and that are Lord of the Rings fans. But it's always awesome to hear new people finding the enjoyment for it, especially in a time where I feel like a lot of MMOs, popular MMOs, are kind of on the downhill, like, and mainly like with WoW, you know, there's a lot of people coming over from WoW and that sort of thing because of where that's at. And I will say, like, LOTRO does value your time and you don't feel rushed or FOMO like that. You know, if a new expansion comes out, you don't feel like you need to get to max level before it comes out. you just play where you're at and you just keep playing, because the game is essentially how it was when it first came out. You still level through the same areas you did day one the game came out. It's just there's been more content added along the way, and the classes have been updated, and the graphics have been updated, and all those sort of things. So if you're kind of worried about getting into LOTRO because it's been too long and you're not going to like fit in, like, because I feel like that with WoW. Like when you come back to WoW, it's like, what's happening? Where am I? I don't understand the story and what's happened. It can be really overwhelming and disorientating. But LOTRO isn't anything like that. You start from the same point. You can start your own journey and experience that all. You can spend as much time as you want in those areas and still feel like you're getting something out of it. And yeah, so I would highly suggest giving it a try, you know, especially if you're just wanting something to just slowly plug away at and just, yeah, have a bit of fun. I think when characters have a certain playstyle story, it gives it more personality. It's nice. Yeah, exactly. And that's what LOTRO is all about for me personally. You know, every time I like play a new character in LOTRO, I feel the need to like create a new story that character goes on. You know, like that's what Lord of the Rings is all about. It's about going on in like an adventure, and so like even some people might not like to role play or anything like that, and I'm not much of like a role playing person, but I do like to have role playing elements about my character. You know, it's like light Dungeons and Dragons. You have something, you know, that means something that you can go towards, and yeah, like I played Lord of the Rings online. I've played Lord of the Rings online for like about 14 years, probably a little bit more, on and off casually, you know, throughout that time. But it took me about like 9-10 years before I actually got a character that I fully leveled all the way up to the max level. And I think before then, the highest I'd got maybe was like level 50 or something like that, you know, through Moria, that sort of thing. Just because I just enjoy the slow experience and just having fun along the way. But it wasn't until like I got really attached to a character and their story that I decided like I actually want to push this all the way. And that's when I made a lore master. And normally in MMOs, I'm not much of a magical player. I enjoy a big sword warrior. Like, you know, give me a big sword and let me smash mobs with a rage bar and no mana. I'm super happy about that. But for some reason, like, I got really attached to this lore master and making cosmetics that looked like wizardy and feeling like I was like kind of role-playing this concept that I was like maybe one of the blue wizards, or, you know, maybe a tutor of one of the wizards, something like that, you know. Not a tutor, sorry, like a student. I was being tutored by them, you know, something along the lines of that. I didn't actually decide on something, but it was just like a general sort of feeling around it. And yeah, I leveled that character all the way up to max level just because it was so enjoyable playing it, finding new items and like a new hat and being like, oh, cool, I got my new wizard hat, this is perfect, you know, and changing my outfit as I went and really going into like the cosmetics and then getting into like collecting the mounts and making cosmetic outfits based around the mounts and stuff. Like, yeah, it was the first time that I ever really deeply gotten into it to the point that I pushed it all the way to the end, because I wanted that character to like experience it all. I wanted to go through that all. And